Once again, you're tuned into South Coast Radio, where we bring you music with meaning and stories that truly connect. Today, we're joined by a talented singer-songwriter whose journey spans continents, originally from America and now proudly calling South Africa home. She spent nearly a decade in Graskop, Mpumalanga, and has recently settled right here on the south coast in Pennington. Her music is a beautiful blend of soul-infused poetry and rich musical styles, from folk and blues to jazz, rock, and even touches of hip-hop. It's thoughtful, uplifting, and deeply authentic. And one of her songs we're going to be talking to her about, which is called Earth and Breath, takes listeners on a journey of self-discovery, purpose, and the deeper meaning of life. Leah Kirrane, welcome to South Coast Radio.
Thanks so much, Ryan. It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Awesome. It's really glad and it's an honor to have you with us, Leah. It's so great to have you with us. You've recently made the move to Pennington. How has the transition to the South Coast been for you and your family?
So far, it has been amazing. We've been here in Pennington almost 3 weeks.
Wow.
But before that, we left Graskop on October 31st, and started a 4-month just kind of travel. It was supposed to be 3 months originally, traveling around South Africa. So I got to visit Western Cape and lots of other places, and made our way. One of our last stops was Trafalgar, where we stayed actually for a month while we decided and tried to figure out where we were going to live. And originally, we were thinking we were going to go back to Graskop, but there were no homes available at the time. So, and we wanted to be closer to family here in Durban. Pennington showed up, and this beautiful little house in the community is absolutely amazing. So many community-minded people that, there's just opportunities galore, and it's been awesome so far. A lot hotter, but awesome.
Definitely, indeed, it's really awesome, Leah, and having you down on the south coast as well, it's really great. And you spent about 9 years in Graskop before this move. How did your time there shape you both personally and musically?
Well, while I was there, there are basically like 3 major dreams come true that happened while I was in Graskop. One of them was not specifically in Graskop, which was a beautiful community, both physically and the people, the scenery, everything. But in Nelspruit, I had to go to Nelspruit to find someone who could record my music. So that was the first big dream, was recording with professional musicians in a professional studio. That was Echo Recording Studio with Peter Stalsfeld. And in 2019, I released my first CD called Because I'm Free, but I wasn't quite happy with it because mostly it was my first time recording, and I didn't have a voice to say what I wanted, or like if things weren't right, I just kind of went with it. And also, I wasn't as confident, and so that showed up in a lot of my songs, or several of the songs, just like my voice was shaky, kind of like it is now, nerves. So I ended up redoing several of those songs, and last year, in between March and June, I re-recorded several of them with the backing of the band Soul Taxi, Soul Taxi SA, there in Nelspruit, and so we recorded a whole bunch of songs that I have been and will be releasing in like one a month, pretty much. That was one dream. Another dream that was a long dream was my desire, part of my purpose is to bring community together.
Mm-hmm.
And I always imagined like creating events that would like to bring different artists and
Yeah.
just fun times for family and all ages and that kind of thing. So
Wow.
one of the things, third dream, this is related to the third dream, was that I've always wanted to lead a choir
Mm-hmm.
and also loved working with children. And so one of the things I did there was I worked with the children of Emmanuel's Home,
Okay.
which is, it's not quite an orphanage, but kind of an orphanage for children with families that aren't able to care for them.
Yeah.
And so we started what we called the CAN Club, which is the Creative Arts Network.
Mm-hmm.
And we did all kinds of activities, but mostly it was choir. It started with Christmas carols for, what do you call it, Carols by Candlelight.
Yeah.
And it grew from there, other art projects, but that gave us the ability or the opportunity to create events. So we did what we called Fun Days, which was market and entertainment. So locals, all locals, market, entertainment, and just other activities, boxing and different things, demonstrations of local organization. And that evolved into what is now going into its third year,
Okay.
the Truscott Heritage Carnival. And I had to leave that behind, but that was a baby and a huge dream come true, where we just gathered musicians and artists from all over. We had dancers and big market, and
Wow.
just all fun rides and all kinds of things that went on. So it will be going on without us this year. I think in September, probably,
Mm-hmm.
because it's heritage related. And recording and then bringing community together and creating those events and working with the children. Those are all impacted my life in a
Wow.
major way.
Wow, that's really awesome. That's really amazing, Leah. And so, for the listeners who may be hearing you for the first time, how would you describe your sound and the kind of music you love to create?
Well, my sound, it's eclectic. I don't really stick to one genre, like you mentioned in the intro.
Yes.
And my voice is a little bit gospel-y,
Okay.
like Southern gospel when I think of the United States, and even here African. But the genres can blues, folk, kind of country, some country. I've incorporated, like you said, a little, I guess it's hip hop, with the different beat. The next song that's coming up has that's the one song I have so far that's got a bit of a hip hop vibe.
Awesome.
It's my grandma rap. I'm a grandma, by the way.
Awesome.
And most of my lyrics are, they address like serious issues, or deep issues. But a lot of them, like I have a song, I haven't played it yet, but Crazy Cockamamie Lady. And it's all about identity and feeling inadequate to speak my voice. But then, and it's really lighthearted and kind of humorous. I mean, Crazy Cockamamie Lady. But so it adds that lightness to the serious, deep message. And I have several songs like that. Earth and Breath is pretty serious all the way through. And it's not very light. Even the music itself is a little bit heavy. But I think towards the end, uplifting message. So none of it is music that can drag a person down.
True.
Even if it's a little on the melancholy side or the serious side.
That's true. That's 100% true, Leah. Now let's talk about your single that you just mentioned, Earth and Breath. What inspired you to write this song?
Well, I started writing it about 15 years ago, 15 to 16 years ago, maybe even 17. I think it was 2010. And so I don't remember exactly what the inspiration was. Sometimes inspiration comes when I'm just playing around with my guitar and I come up with a tune and I say, that's cool. What does that sound like? So I think it might have been that, and I might have already been toying with the idea. Another way that songs come up is just an idea, a phrase, or a word or a few words that I think that would make a good song. I need to sit down and do something with that. So I think the way that this one came was with the chords first, and then just thinking. Actually, the first couple verses are just about trying to figure out what this song is. I've been thinking about the things I think about. And it literally took me years. I didn't finally write that song until, I forget which year it was, but it was in the 2020s when I finally, and it was, you can tell by some of the lyrics that it was relating to certain current events at the time in the early 2020s. And so at the beginning, 15 years ago, I had pretty much the first two verses, and the rest of it, I tried different ideas, and I'm like, it's just not right. It's just not right. But then 2021 came along and said, all of a sudden, it's like, this is what that song needs to be about. It's about self-sovereignty and not giving away our power to quote unquote authorities. So that's what it's. It's a hard message for a lot of people, I think, to accept. But I think I wrap it up in a way lyrically and musically so that it can get people to think and say, maybe she's right. I hope.
Definitely it does. It does. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So the song touches on deep themes like existence and purpose. Was this something you were personally wrestling with at the time?
I don't think I wasn't really wrestling with purpose at the time, not for myself. But I had been previously. I think it was more of a message that I wanted to send to others. Because I had been through it, trying to figure things out. That's even part of the line, trying to figure things out, in one of the verses. And so it was more of, okay, I've been through this, I've learned through this, and now I want to share what I've learned with others.
Wow, really awesome, Leah. So, okay, so there's a strong message in the song that we are not accidents, but created with purpose. Why was that message important to you to share?
I believe that what we think and how we think shapes our reality.
Yeah.
And for me, I was raised in a very Christian home and believed very strongly in all that I was taught. But as I grew older, there were some things that just didn't sit right. Questions that I had that I kind of was told, don't ask questions. And so that's when I started searching for myself and came to an understanding that kind of the oneness of everything, both scientifically, everything is energy and we're all connected. And when I came to that knowledge or realization, things shifted. My outlook on life shifted. I wasn't separate from God or others. Like, we're all together in this. We're one organism, whether the universe or humanity or family or community. It's all one organism, and we can work against it by seeing ourselves as separate, or we can work for it by contributing to the health of the whole. And so, I'm sorry, I've got your questions in front of me, but I've kind of forgotten where that question was. Created with purpose, was it that one? Yeah. Yeah, and my purpose, I believe, and I mentioned that also at the end of this song. This is why I'm meant to be, to share songs of liberty and help to set the captives free by speaking about peace and love and harmony. And I could have used unity, but yeah, we are all one. It's the purpose and the message. Yeah.
100%. That's correct, Leah. You're absolutely correct about that. So you also speak about breaking free from fear and false narratives. What do you think people need to become more aware of in today's world?
I think that 2026 has already made a lot more people aware of, things like media and propaganda. Anything basically that's on the TV, that's another line in the song, the talking heads on the squawk box.
Yeah.
That's the television news reporters and fleecing the flock with shockwaves of fear. Everything, almost everything that comes out of the news on TV is fear-based. It's meant to scare us into compliance.
Yeah.
It's meant to tell the story of what those, they call them elites class, but it's more like a predator class, to tell the story that they want us to hear. It's meant to inform our decisions, but not in a healthy way for the community or for humanity.
True.
And so that's what I think people need to be aware of, because I don't know. I don't even have a TV. I don't listen to mainstream news or media, but I do know that the stories that they deliver are not meant to uplift us. And when you look at things like, I don't know if I can bring up the Epstein files. All this stuff has come out this year, pretty much, even though a lot of us knew about it before. But it's finally been made public, and a lot more people are being made aware that all of these figures, whether it's celebrities or politicians, leaders in our communities, so many are involved in some evil stuff. And and then even just looking at politicians and the rich versus the poor, and the imbalance of prosperity in our world, and you can start to see that what they say and what they do don't match up. And we'd like to think that our governments have our best interest in mind, but according to their actions, they don't.
Unfortunately, that's true. That's correct, Leah.
Yeah.
So
glad you agree.
So the imagery of being made from earth and breath of God is very powerful. What does that mean to you personally?
Well, coming from like a literal biblical story, God formed man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. There's that literal, it's not just the imagery, but in a literal scientific sense, we have learned that our bodies are comprised of all of the minerals of earth and the water, all of the elements, I should say. I don't know about all of them. I'm not sure about that. But the way that earth is composed, our bodies are also composed with the similar ratios of water to flesh and all of that. And so and then the breath, the oxygen, the air that we breathe, and when we die, that's the last thing to go. Is the last, they breathe their last, we breathe our last breath. And so we are literally, I believe, personally, that we are.
Hi, Leah.
Literal and spiritual. Are you still there?
Yes, we just had a bit of a connection, but we can hear you now. Hi, Leah.
Yes, it's both a literal and a scientific.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great, Leah. So, moving to our next question, your music carries both depth and a sense of lightness. It makes people
Mhm.
think but also feel good. How do you balance those two elements?
I think that I've always had a natural inclination to look on the bright side of things. I try to be an optimist, and even one thing that's got me through life successfully in my definition of success, is going through the struggles and trying to figure out what am I supposed to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be better because of it? How can, whatever the struggle, and all of us, I think, myself included, have been through various hard times, and we can either, raise our fist at God, or ask, what are you trying to show me? Guide me, and light. And if God is light, or or we are the light of the world,
Yeah.
there's a lightness to things, and whether it's a sense of humor, some of my songs are a little bit humorous, or upbeat, even with a hard message.
Yeah.
That it's just being the light of the world, and that's the purpose, to take these hard things and show the bright side of things, or see the light in the darkness.
Awesome, Leah. And so, at the heart of the song, there's a message of unity, peace, and love. What do you hope listeners take away after hearing Earth and Breath?
I touched on this a little bit before, but the whole idea of oneness, that everything is one.
Yeah.
That's what started changing my views on life, and how I just perceived things, because I always believed that I was separate from God and earth and others. And when I realized that it's all one, it made me think of when I treat someone else with respect, I'm actually treating myself with respect. When I am kind, it's all this reciprocal energy. Kind of like some people might call it karma. If once people can grasp, or if they choose to believe that the oneness of everything, we do better to benefit the whole by being decent, by being kind, by offering love. And for me, like just things like arguments, when someone challenges your pride, your ego, and you want to fight back or yell or curse or anything like that, when I realized that I'm throwing out these curses into existence, into the air, and it's not doing any good for the energy. It's like brings people down. It's low, and it honestly, it brings me down too. And one of the things I realized throughout my life is that certain things, I take like the idea of jealousy, for example. If I think about being jealous of someone for something, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
If I think, any kind of this, whether unkindness or whatever, I think it doesn't feel good. So why would I do that? Why would I do that to myself by doing it to others? And so I'd rather feel good, and that lends to the lightness of things. I'd rather feel good. And if it's all one, then whatever we do is affecting the whole. Thoughts and action and words, especially words.
Yeah. That's really awesome, Leah. And so, one more question before we close off with our interview. Where can the listeners find your music online? For example, Earth and Breath, and as well as your other songs, and also follow you online.
Well, I am on most streaming, all of the mainstream streaming platforms like Spotify and YouTube Music and all of those, iTunes.
Yeah.
I also have an official video YouTube page. It's just Leah Kirrane.
Okay.
And I don't have videos for all my songs, but for a few of them. And I have a Facebook, Leah Kirrane Music and Poetry Facebook page. Yeah. I'd like to get a website. So maybe if there are any website builders out there that might be interested in.
Actually,
I had one before, but I don't have one now, and I need to get that done again.
Actually, we do have a sister company that's linked with us called Liquidimus, who are really great at what they do when it comes to websites, and we will surely speak about that at a later after the session at the moment. But
okay.
that was really awesome, Leah, and thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story and your heart through your music. And also to the listeners, it was Leah Kirrane with us right about this moment with her powerful new single called Earth and Breath, a beautiful reminder that we are created with purpose, connected by something greater, and called to live authentically. And be sure to stream the song and support this incredible artist, now based right here on the South Coast. So stay tuned, guys, because we also gonna be playing her song right now, which is Earth and Breath. Stay tuned for that.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.